Welcome to the Breathe Believe podcast show where I am your host, Bree, and I am just really excited. I think I say that every time, but here's the truth. I will never record a podcast when I am not in my passion. Because here's the truth. I just don't feel authentic when I'm off my game. I naturally have high energy, and so I feel best when I get to share that with you. So, as always, I am so freaking excited, and passionate is a really good word because self-worth is a really, really hot topic, and it can be confusing and it can be dismantling. It can be hard to dismantle, especially when you don't know what the heck it is. So, self-esteem is your ability to pull your worth from your achievements and how well you think you're doing. Self-esteem is the image you have in your head of yourself. Self-esteem can be related to like other people's opinions and views of you as well. So like it's a good job from mom or dad when you're doing the right thing or you're doing things they approve of. And self-esteem is when your boss is like really happy that you're making him a lot of revenue. Self-esteem is when you're achieving because self-esteem was modeled similar to the path we were given at birth. Like you go to school, you get good grades, you get a good fill in the blank job. And then after that, like you get a family and you start your life. Like, isn't that what we've been given? At least in the Western world, I know that's true. Self-esteem is really imperative to the image that we hold within inside of our head. So for me, self-esteem usually identifies to how well I think I'm bringing in revenue or how well I'm smashing goals or whether or not I'm on my fitness target. Like I love me a good squat, right? Like for me, it's heavy lifting and that's where my passion is. Self-esteem is really interesting because it is changeable. It's not something that's set in stone. 5 years ago, to be really honest, I freaking hated myself. And I didn't know this until I started doing the work that I share here with you and inside of my course, inside of my coaching, inside of my one-on-one that I offer. And when I started to do what I'm teaching other people to do, that's when I realized how much I actually hated myself. And it was one of those moments where it was looking in a mirror and there was a part of me that was not me talking to me. And it was so interesting because I can recall it like yesterday night. And it was very dark because I was hearing voices that I knew weren't mine, but was believing them at the same time. Like, you're so fat and you're so ugly and you're so not worthy and you're so fill in the blank. You have these thoughts too. You're just really up close to them, so you don't even know that they're toxic and happening. So here's what's interesting. My self-esteem 5 years ago was really, really bad. And self-esteem isn't even self-worth, by the way. They are different. Now, 5 years later, it's incredibly different and it's healthy. So self-image is changeable. And it also isn't just related to achievements, but again, it's also sometimes relating to what other people view you as or see you as. So it's like this image or persona or personality. I love creating the concept that self-esteem is personality because everyone knows, like, once they get to know you, like, oh, you have a really loud personality. Yes, I do. And you're welcome. Or, hey, you have a really introverted personality and you're just really quiet. Right? So that could be also self-esteem depending on what you view those things to mean about yourself. So what's your relationship to your personality? So now that we kind of understand what self-esteem looks like in its many different forms, self-worth is the bigger arcing umbrella above all of that crap. And self-worth says, I am greater than those thoughts, those feelings, those beliefs, and those opinions of myself and of others. Self-worth is non-negotiable. Self-worth does not fluctuate based on whether my weight is 50 pounds heavier or I'm 50 pounds lighter. Self-worth is not going to fluctuate whether my boss is happy with me or my kids are pissed with me, whatever your story is, right? So self-worth is the thing that is constant, and you can have a really, really poor self-worth and also have a very damaging self-esteem, but you can't have one really high and one really low. Usually they're pretty interconnectable, meaning you're not going to have a freaking high self-worth and all of these things and then just be like, have a poor self-esteem image of yourself. It's just not going to happen. So self-worth, then how do you build that? For me, I'll tell you how I had to build that so that I could create this podcast here with you. Self-worth only decided to come forward and show me where I actually was in terms with it after getting married to my second husband. And I really love sharing the stories and vulnerability because A, I'm human, B, you're human, and C, like if we're not learning together from each other's stories, then what are we here for, right? Hopefully creating connection is why. So when I married my second husband, I married him after already he had cheated on me. I had married him already after the promises were broken, and I had self-betrayed often. So self-betrayal is when there's an inner knowing that you should or shouldn't do something and you do the opposite of what you know to be truth. So I knew that it wasn't good for me, but I wanted it so bad anyways. So it was almost like I was pulling in self-worth from another person. And I did that very well because, well, if they could validate me, then I felt okay. Do you get where I'm going with this? So my self-worth was in the garbage. Like I had probably no self-worth. I mean, maybe, but not when it came to my romantic area. And I really believe that self-worth is the same in all areas because when you value yourself, you're going to put yourself only in places that value you. For example, when I started to change my self-worth and do the work that I'm telling you will change your life, it wasn't until that door cracked me open enough, wide enough to then quit my job after 8 years. And it was the only identity I held on to, but I was willing to let it go because now I saw my value and my worth differently. And when you start to see your value and worth differently, there's people and places and things, quite frankly, that can no longer hold on to you, or to be more real, that you can no longer hold on to. So when you are growing and your self-worth elevates, you realize it's been non-negotiable the whole time. The only difference is that you weren't awake to your inner divine knowing. You weren't awake to your being. So I just did an entire YouTube episode on this actually, and also an Instagram post so that you could actually see that social media is prevalent to what most people think self-esteem looks like or self-worth. Like I'll have so much self-worth when I have 10,000 followers. I'll have so much self-esteem when I have all of these Facebook friends that I'll never talk to, but at least I'll have the persona. I see this a lot in the material world where how many of you have seen the richest guy or the richest girl or the hottest girl or the hottest guy, whatever. And in your image of them, they're like, you're putting them in God's spot. Like you idolize them, you value them, like you're inspired by them, but you're also secretly jealous because you're like, wow, like that person has it all together, man, right? So you're like drooling over this lifestyle or this thing that they have that you think is missing within you. And you start to idolize them. And here's what's so nuts. This is why I'm so fascinated by what the eye sees. Because that same person that has the job, that has the career, that has the money, that has the fame, that has the thing, that has the material wealth you're after, they're not always happy. And believe it or not, you can still be really ultra rich and have really crappy self-worth and self-esteem. And you can really have the fastest car and be the hottest guy and still be really lonely. Like, do you see how crazy that is? And so I'm so passionate about helping women and men understand their self-worth and getting to the core of that and laying the foundation, because I won't talk to you about level 3 when you haven't done level 1. Like, here's the truth. Any foundation that you set outside of yourself will and can fail. Look at the friendships you had in high school. How many of them are still right next to your side the way they were in high school, right? How many of you are in the same house, in the same city, in the same location, with the same dog, eating the same food, going to the same school or the same job, and it's been more than 30 years? I mean, that does happen. But my point is, life is going to continue to throw curveballs and experiences and trials. And what's really, really awesome about having the awareness that life is ever changing is that self-worth isn't. Your self-worth doesn't have to go with it when the job goes or when the breakup happens. When I had my divorce and my world fell apart, I realized that I had built a world on some foundation that was not real. So hear me out. If you're pulling in things and people and places to fill a void, that's a good indicator your self-worth is struggling. It's a good indicator that you need some help if you can't just be still and be comfortable in the presence of yourself, right? How many times do we use social media just to avoid and to distract and to numb out because there's something uncomfortable we don't want to look at? It's almost like your self-worth is scary in the beginning because you don't know it. And my favorite quote is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're literally more powerful beyond measure. We're afraid more of our light than we are of our darkness. And I'm not saying to avoid the dark. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. If you're aware your self-esteem and self-worth is crap, that's okay. Because there's people that have dedicated their entire life to fixing that one thing, which is me. Because I don't want other people to go through the pain I had to understand that life wasn't happening to me. It was happening for me. And my divorces were a freaking wake-up call that said, wake the hell up. Like, wake the hell up. You need to stop settling. This isn't who you are. You're pulling in people and places again because you don't feel like you're enough. When you don't feel like you're enough, you're going to go try to prove it. When you're out there trying to prove it, you're building a fake persona around who you actually are. And it's not that you don't need to survive in the world and have amazing achievements. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals and aspirations. But if your goals and your aspirations are your foundation, then you're setting up a self-esteem based on performance. Self-worth is not based on performance. Self-worth just is. Meaning I can sit on my couch in freaking PJs and watch a TV show guilt-free and know that I'm still worthy and know that I'm amazing even when I'm not producing. It's when I walk into a room and stay silent, I know I'm still impacting someone just because of my presence, right? So to finish the thought, self-worth is valuing your presence. Self-esteem is valuing your performance. And both are super vital to our evolution in this journey of life. But your self-worth is really going to be the thing that you really need to hone in on if you're trying to turn your external circumstances around. Because believe me, if you don't do that now, something will show up in your life and you will question everything you ever believed, ever thought, ever felt, ever thought you knew because your foundation wasn't solid. Like, hear me out. You would never, ever, ever build a house without a solid foundation. So why the hell would you treat yourself less than, right? And it's crazy because we get so much backwhip and backlash from being selfish if we take care of ourselves. But here's the irony. When people that know their worth operate from just a place of being and just know that they're capable, they're also the same people that aren't moved by those comments. Someone who knows their self-worth isn't going to be moved by a petty comment that says, you're just selfish, and how do you have all the time to do that? And, they criticize you because you're not playing the game. You're not playing the chaos and struggle game. You're off the struggle bus, and you no longer believe in struggle, and you're like, holy crap, I've had the power the whole time. The power is in me. What? So my job is to unleash that in you, unlock that in you, and really get you back to living out your divine purpose. Because too many of us are living life like we're lost and settling for dog crap. We're settling. And I know what that feels like because I did it up until the age 25. And then 25 was like, hey, you don't have a choice. Spend your entire next year just figuring out how to survive and cope with the mess you made. And then maybe by 26, you'll have a chance at sharing your story with other people and be lucky enough to impact somebody who's in a dark space, who doesn't understand it, who's looking for social media to give them validation or looking for something to fill them up, and they're still lonely as hell. And that's a really hard place to be in because I get you. And it doesn't have to be hard. So book a call today. There is a link below. I have all of my information in the bio. So if you need to go look at that, please do. Share this with the next woman or person that needs the inspiration to change, that needs to know really what self-worth looks like, that is ready to change. I have an entire course on this. I'm so passionate about helping you really find you because we're all playing hide and seek. And the worst game we're playing is this like treasure hunt where the treasure isn't outside of you, but you'll keep chasing some other thing until you find it. So I'm here to lead you through that process. I'm here to inspire you to get past the drama. And once you get out of the chaos, you're really able to find the foundation of what you actually long for. So surprise, you're going to get very familiar and intimate with yourself, because until you do that, nothing else gets to operate differently. It all comes back to you, and I'm sorry, you're going to hear it over and over and over again, because you have got to rise past the limitations and opinions and beliefs of yourself until you actually see, oh my gosh, my self-worth just is. And no one gets to touch that. No one gets to take it, which also means no one can buy it, which also means you can't sell it, which means it just is. Right? Like, what does that feel like in your body? It just is. Like, you are worthy and you are perfect and you are enough. Like, oh my gosh, if you woke up every morning and you're like, I'm so freaking enough, what do I want to create today? That's a different energy than like, holy crap, I have 12 things to do to prove that I'm enough because my self-esteem has got this persona I've got to hold up. Like, that is exhausting, right? So I'll leave you with this. You are incredible. You are powerful. The power is within. I coach that, like I said. I will leave a link for you. Book your discovery call freaking today. That is an entirely free conversation and consultation I will have with you to get past the roadblocks you feel that you're having. And then a link in my description to my podcast. So give that a listen. And then, of course, share it with someone that needs it with my YouTube as well. So you have an awesome day.